Ihora lesibilikeleli esilidikadikayo mbukeli kanti ilokhu ishosholoze njalo inqole emasonto-sonto inqamula amagqumana namathafa. Igama lami nguNoxolo kwaMwalihle bangaleli mhlophe qwa kanti ke igama lohleli Ekhaya Jikelele mbukeli. Uyazi kunomunye ke othe nje ihe webo sisi uthi usathi ufaka indoda idliso ivele ithithize ngalendlela ukuthi iziphucwe na inkukhu isinkwa mayiqede lapha ikhale ke igijimize kuyizofuna ukugona. Anazi Dinda angihambi ngedwa ke ngihamba noMakholi uMadlungothi.
Yes. Bukeli ngoku ke singena kwiyure yesibini yenkqubo kwaye ke sizakuqhubeka phambili sikuphathela sikuphakela ezisematheni nazo zonke ezisemdleni woluntu. Ukukrobisa ke kumanqaku esithetha wachaphazela aquka elithi kututyule kwasweleka bakhwetha babini enqamakhwe. Elinye lithi ke umbutho ye-ANC ithi uNelson Mandela uza kuhlala ekhunjulwa ngemisebenzi yakhe yoluntu. Lo mbutho ke uthethe oku njengoko kuqatshelwa iminyaka 10 lingasekho eliqala lomzabalazo. Ntimlo ke ukholosa kalubisi uMadlungothi masijonge eziphala phambili kule yure.
Nabanye bayakhala bathi hey sihlambeni nabazawungena kufanele ungena ngomsa abanye abantu kuba nexhala abantwana babaza babeka phi kwakwenzekani.
Kututyule kwasweleka bakhwetha babini enqamakhwe kwiphondo laseMpuma Koloni.
Hey, singambiza no chup. You know what it is, ngubixhosa lona hlala ubukele Ekhaya Jikelele from Monday to Friday sikuphathele zemidlalo, entertainment and current affairs. Ungaphoswa.
Usapho labakhwetha ababini abadutyulwe basweleka bekunye nomntaka benqamakhwe eMpuma Koloni lumemelela kwiarhente zonyanzeliso mthetho ukuba zithabatha amanyathelo ngokukhawuleza ngakwezi zigilamkhuba. Omnye wonyana bolusabo utshintshiselana ngencwina nezigule esibhedlele. Unobangela wesisiganeko awukaziwa.
Usapho lwakwaBhusakho belinethemba elikhulu ngonyana balo uAnele noWonke. Olusapho belijonge kusuku apho bazobuya khona bengamadoda. Kodwa ngoku bajongene namalungiselelo omngcwabo.
Oh, sidandathekile. Asiyazi neyokuqala neyokugqibela noba masithini bekutheni. Because sizange siyibone into enje. Sizange siyive. Into yokugawulwa kwabantwana besesuthwini. Sinethemba ngomsonto basiza kuba namadoda.
Ukanti esisehlo sikwachaphazele nabanye abakhwetha.
Nabanye bayakhala bathi hey sihlambeni nabazawungena kufanele ungena ngomsa abanye abantu kuba nexhala abantwana babaza babeka phi kwakwenzekani kuko.
Iinkokheli zomthonyama nazo zithi zothukile sesisehlo.
Simele kasimka apha senze arrangement ne-parents uba ayonda akhonda sinobathatha abantu sibase kuyona at least ebhetele ke kunale meko kuyiyo.
Ngokwesebe lezempilo ephondweni ngabakhwetha abayi-8 abathe babhubha susela liqalile ixesha lolwaluko lasehlotyeni. Abongile Yankees kwiindaba ze-SABC enqamakhwe.
Umnyango wezempilo KwaZulu-Natal umise zonke izinhlelo zokuxhumana ngqo nomphakathi isikhathi esiyinyanga yonke endwendwe enyakatho yeTheku. Lokho kulandela ukuphangwa kubulawa umhlengikazi womuntu wesilisa kule ndawo. Lesi-ke akusona isigameko sokuqala kwazise phela igilamkhuba zihlasela nezimoto ezithwala iziguli.
Ziyanda izigameko zokudunwa nokwebiwa kwezimoto zikahulumeni KwaZulu-Natal. Izindawo ezisenyakatho yeTheku okubalwa uMashu, iNanda kanjalo neNdwedwe zihlonzwe njengezindawo ezishisa izikhotha. Izinyunyana zabasebenzi bezempilo zisekufika ekugcineni emva kwalesigameko sakamuva sokudunwa kwemoto ezidlule nomphefumulo womhlengikazi wesilisa. Eminyakeni emibili edlule amadoda ayisishiyagalombili abehlomile angena emahhovisi omnyango wezolimo eNdwedwe abamba onogada ahamba nezimoto zikahulumeni. Kukholakala ukuthi lezi zigebengu ziyingxenye yeqembu eliduna izimoto zikahulumeni. umnyango wezempilo uthi ubheka izindlela zokuqinisa ukuphepha kwabasebenzi.
Kusho ukuthi uma sazama ukuthola indlela ne-solution kuzofuna siwasuspende ama-outreach programs e-department onke at least for the next month while sikwazi ukuplana kahle.
Izinyunyana zithi ukuduna kwezimoto zikahulumeni ikakhulukazi endwedwe yinto endala edinga ukufakelwa izibuko.
Abasebenzi baba ne-trauma bengalitholi uxhaso kuhulumeni.
Amaphoyisa aphenya icala lokubulala, elokuzama ukubulala nelokuduna izimoto. Ngingonhlakani Magwaza ezindabeni ze-SABC eThekwini.
I-ANC ithi owayesakuba ngumongameli weli uNelson Mandela ongasekhoyo uyakuhlala ekhunjulwe ngokuzinikela kwakhe ngokusebenzela abantu ngentobeko nenhlonipho. Phezolo ke bephawula 10 leminyaka oko wasweleka umongameli wokuqala welilizwe owanyulwa ngokwentando yesininzi. uMadiba ubhubhe ngonyaka ka-2013 eneminyaka engama-65 ubudala emva kokugula ixesha elide.
Diba oyingqalabuthu yomzabalazo obonakala futhi njengomholi omkhulu kunabo bonke emhlabeni, owayihola uphiko lwezomkhonto wesizwe we-ANC, aphinde futhi abe umongameli wokuqala eNingizimu Afrika onsundu. Kodwa-ke iqembu lakhe lezepolitiki inhlangano ebusayo ukhongolose uthi namhlanje usuku lokubungaza ngaye uMadiba kubheke negqathu eNingizimu Afrika esilithathile.
Marking the 10 years of his passing is something that really is should be introspective for many people who are Democrats, who are patriots.
Iqembu lakhe uMadiba libhekene nengqinamba manje. Ukhetho langonyaka ozayo selifaniswa nokhetho lango-1994 lapho uMadiba adla khona ngamalengiso engena njengomongameli waseNingizimu Afrika. Ngonyaka ozayo abaningi sebeqagulile ukuthi inhlangano ebusayo i-ANC angeke kuhambe kahle okhethweni.
I don't think that we should try and even compare the period of Nelson Mandela to the period of Ramaphosa in 2023-2024.
Umzukulu walengqalabuthu yomzabalazo uNkosi uMandela uthi umkhulu wakhe kumele akhunjulwe kuzwelonke kakhulukazi nasemhlabeni ngokuthi wadlala igxathu elikhulu enkululekweni yabantu basePalestine nalapho iNingizimu Afrika kumele iqhubeke naloyo mzabalazo.
We felt on this day of his passing, we want to come and lay 3 wreaths at the feet of his statue. As you know, here in the Union Building lies the tallest statue of Madiba in the world.
Umhlaba wonke jikelele ubungaza yona leminyaka eyi10 solweke lo wayengumongameli waseNingizimu Afrika ashiya emhlabeni. Ngingusamkele Maseko ngibekele izindaba ze-SABC eGoli.
Inhloko yamajaji uRaymond Zondo iyayichitha insolo ezithi inkantolo namajaji kuleli kubanjwe ngobhongwane futhi akekho salethe phambili ubufakazi obukhomba lokho. Ijaji uZondo belethula inkulumo engqungqutheleni yamajaji eyinsuku ezintathu eSun City eNorth West. Isiqubulo sale ngqungquthela sithi towards a single, effective and fully independent judiciary.
Inhloko ecendelwe zomthetho kweli uJudge Raymond Mlungisi Zondo ithi sekuyiminyaka emine isenza isimbonono sokuba abanobungqina bokubanjwa kwabezomthetho ngoqhoqhoqo mabeze ngaphambili nobungqina kodwa namhloku akekho seze nobubungqina ngaphambili.
For 4 years I called for everybody who had evidence that the judiciary in South Africa is captured and nobody came with any evidence.
Ujudge Zondo uthi abenze ezitsholo ngabafuna bezomthetho kweli bajonge ngeliso lesikrokho.
The accusation is made by those who wish to ensure that the judiciary of South Africa is not trusted by the public.
Kuchanje abezomthetho bajongene nezitsholo eziliqela kuquka nengxelo kwakusithiwa iqulunqwe ngabezobunhlola baza beagente ezobunhlola bema enhla besithi lo ngxelo ayiqulunqwanga babo. Elinye ixhoba lezo zitsholo kumongameli wejaji eGauteng uJudge Dustin Mlambo.
The author of the report applied for a job at Legal Aid South Africa many years ago, more than 10 years ago, when I was chairperson of Legal Aid South Africa. He didn't get the job. I was not involved in that process in whatever manner, but from that day onwards to date, he continues to accuse me. He's even created a website that hurls insults at me and any other judge who finds against him.
Thank you.
Le nkomfa yejaji iza kuqhuba de kube ngolwesine.
Ngaphambi kokuba niphume kaloku babukeli niye kwindawo ngendawo qinisekani into yokubana nixhobisekile ngokuqhubekayo kwisimo sezulu niqaphele kaloku nezilumkiso ezawuthi zikhutshwe nguye uSouth African Weather Services. Rhabula ningafinci.
Siphinde sikwamukele embukeli lapha ekhaya Jikelele sibonge ngokuthi usahlanganyele kanye nathi. Sike sakubikela ke embukeli udaba lokuvakasha kobuholi ophezulu be-Economic Freedom Fighters okufaka phakathi uJulius Malema beyokotha ke isilo uMisuzu likaZwelithini esifundazweni ke iKwaZulu Natal. Ukuthola kabanzi ngalolu hambo lwe-EFF sixoxa ngocingo nentethele indaba lapha eSABC ezinze eThekwini uVusi wakwaKhumalo nokungiyena ke obecoshela lolu daba. Vusa sikubingelele sikwamukele lapha ekhaya Jikelele.
Nginibingelele ekhaya kanjalo nababukeli.
Sicela nje ukuchazela umbukeli Vusi ukuthi ibizokwenzani iEFF KwaZulu Natal.
Yebo njengoba iEFF ibisesifundazweni nje kakhulukazi kusukela ngempela sonto esiphuma kuyo kade besemgungundlovu lapho kade bethulo abakubiza ngeGround Forces Forum. Kusukela ngeweekend okanye impela sonto ubuholi nje besifunda ubuholi bayiEFF buvele bulapha isifundazweni iKwaZulu Natal base bethi ke cha ake bethole izibusiso lapha lapha esilweni ondini ukuzoqinisekisa ukuthi njengoba kuyiwa okhethweni ngonyaka ozayo kumele bathole isebasothe isilo bese kuyilaka emva kokuthi bethole izibusiso sebengakwazi ukuthi baqhubeke nohambo lwabo olubheke okhethweni lapho kulindele khona ukuthi bagcwale nje isifundazwe sonke ukuthi bathe abakushilo la bengafuna ukuthi isilo kanjalo namakhosi nezinduna esifundazweni baxakeke mase bebona ama red beret egcwele nje isifundazwe sonke up and down ngokusho kwabo so bebefuna ukuthi bathole ibusiso kuqala anduba baqhubeke nohambo lwabo olubheke okhethweni lwangonyaka ozayo.
Ngabe ikhona ningxoxo ke abathe ukuyibamba ke mhlawumpeni nanokuthi mangabe bezikhona ngabe ihambe kanjani?
Yebo ingxoxo ezikhona ikakhulukazi ilo lokhetho lwangonyaka ozayo ingxoxo zabo labelele emaphuzini nje ambalo olunye lwawo ukuthi kube khona ukuzwana uxolo nokuzwana esifundazweni siyazi ukuthi ngaphambilini isifundazwe besinezibalo eziningana zabantu kunyaka nonyaka bekuhlanganiswa abantu abevile emashumini amabili abantu ababula kuhlanganisa amakhansela njengoba nje kade ngikhuluma nje izolo lokhu kade kubulawa lapha uSpeaker wasemngeni municipality lapha nangasemgungundlovu so igameko lezi eningana lapha kwaZulu Natal ihlanganisa ukubulawa kwamakhansela kanjalo lawa amaqembu ezepolitiki kakhulukazi ANC nayo IFP kanjalo NFP so bathi ke bakhathazekile bona njengobuholi be-EFF ukuthi isifundazwe hlezi sisematheni kakhulukazi ngegameko ezingezinhle kakhulukazi njengoba futhi sekhona nalento ebizwa ngeinkabi umalema umholi we-EFF ukholwa ukuthi engazi ukuthi asikho isombululo uhulumeni aqhamuka naso kakhulukazi lapha kwaZulu Natal ukuqeda lento yobunkabi esifundazweni okunye ke futhi abakhulume ngakho elinye lamaphuzo amqoka yileli ke elithinta umhlaba siyazi ke la ukuthi ukwakheka kweingonyama trust enganyelwe isilo yona ibibuke kwazi ukuthi inokuphikisana nezimiso zeqembu EFF njoba EFF ithi umhlaba kufanele ube ngaphansi kukahulumeni wonke kungabi khona umuntu ozoba nomhlaba nje yedwa ngayedwana ngoba kahle hle ingonyama trust okuyiyona ephethe umhlaba wesilo ingaphansi kweso lesilo njoba lapha kwaZulu Natal umhlaba ongaphansi kwengonyama ubaphelele kuma hectare angu 3 million lapha esifundazweni iKwaZulu Natal so bekukhona loyizo nkonondo kodwa umalema sisesimbuza lo mbuzo wasesho ukuthi cha awukho umahluko kahle hle ukwakheka kweingonyama trust ikhona kahle hle nakho abakufuna ngoba ingonyama trust njoba iaccount lapha eParliament lokho kusho ukuthi ke ingaphansi vele umhlaba wayo kusho ukuthi ungaphansi kweParliament kukahulumeni so kuyinto vele bona abayiqhakambisayo so ngeke ibe khona inkinga uma ukuthi bona bathatha ubuholi beningizimu Afrika yonke ingonyama trust still isazoqhubeka ibe khona kanjalo namakhosi okanye imhlaba engaphansi kwamakhosi bazosebenzisana nawo ngeke kube khona umahluko kuyiwa phambili.
Manje siyababona ni abaholi ke bezombusazwe ngoba nje siyababona lokhu nje ke bevakashela isilo engabe kusho ukuthini lokho
Yebo amaqembu ezepolitiki siyabona impela lokho etheleke njalo endlunkulu lapha nje izolo nabo belapha legislature endala eshamthetho esidala isilapha ondini ngaphambilini futhi kwalokho amasonto amabili edlule bekuvakashele bebezokotha isilo bekhona iqembu iIFP na bizocela ibusise endleleni yayo ebheke okhethweni kanjalo futhi ke izolo bekuyona iEFF nobuholi bayo nje bonke phezulu kuhlanganisa noma Dlamini Secretary General waliqembu kanjalo futhi ke noyisekela mengameli umnumzana Floyd Shibambu bebegcwele nje lapha bezokotha isilo baphinde futhi ke bashiya nenkomo kungaqali ke umnumzana Malema ukuthi ashiye inkomo lapha endlunkulu ngaphambilini ukuyakwenza lokho esilweni esakhothama uzolithini ka kuZulu nayo ke IFP nayo yenza okufanayo kulela emasontweni amabili edlule asikusho ke futhi lokhu sigcine izolo nakuba ke namhlanje nakuba iDA isingathe ukuhamba komholi walapha nemngeni sigcine nje kodwa izolo ngaphambi ukuthi leso sigameko iDA nayo bivele namhlanje ihlose ukuthi iyokotha isilo khona namhlanje nakuba sebevelelwe kumshophi ke asazi ukuthi inhlelo zabo sezizoma kanjani njoba umnumzana uPhaphaso uyena iprima candidate yesifundazwe kwaZulu Natal yena obezohola uhambo namhlanje nakho ke eseshonelwa lapha emngeni umasipala avela ubusayo uSpeaker uSpeaker yebo ewakhona lapha emngeni so lokho kusho ukukhulu kakhulu zamaqembu ezepolitiki ngoba ayazi ukuthi isifundazwe lesi singaphansi kobukhosi bakwaZulu so uma ufuna ukwenza into uphumelele kuzomela uhambe laphana njalo uhambe uyovuselela uphinde futhi uqinisekise ukuthi ubuholi bomdabu wena njengeqembu lezepolitiki inqubomgomo ikuthinta kanjani okusho ukuthi bayihlonipha ke indlunkulu wonke lamaqembu ezepolitiki nokuthi ngaphansi kobukhosi ngaphansi kobuholi babo ubuholi bomdabu ikakhulukazi bazoqinisekisa basebenzisana nabo ngoba abantu ke laba abachazwa abantu abahlezi besondelene kakhulu nemphakathi okuthi ikakhulukazi lapho esifundazweni kwaZulu Natal umhlaba omningi ungaphansi kwengonyama trust yona ephethwe isandla sesilo lapha esifundazweni kwaZulu Natal.
Omunye-ke angabuza Vusi ukuthi njengoba phela vele sekusondela ukhetho lwangonyaka ozayo, yini kangake lamaqembu ezombusazwe sehamba eyokutha inkosi laphayana eseyihlonipha kangaka ngoba sekusondela leso sikhathi. Akusikho mhlawumbe ukuthi i-EFF esiyisondeza kangaka nje esilweni ngenxa phela izombusazwe-ke phecelezi politics.
Yebo kunjalo impela ukuthi bavele nje iningi labo bahlose lokho ukuthi bathole ne-support kubonakale eindaweni zamakhosi ukuthi amaqembu ezepolitika asondelena kakhulu kangakanani nabo abantu abasemazingeni ikakhulukazi aphansi abangaphansi komhlaba weseli kakhulukazi lapha futhi kwaZulu Natal okuningi kwabo ngoba kuqhamuka kanjena ngoba vele sekusondele isikhathi sokhetho njengoba ngishilo ngaphambilini ukuthi ne-IFP wenzile lokho iyona i-EFF izolo namhlanje futhi iyona ke futhi i-DA ukulindela ukuthi iyokotha isilo. So amaqembu amaningi kubonakala ekwenza lokhu ngenxa yokuthi sekusondele vele ke isikhathi sokhetho ngoba ngonyaka ozayo indlela zonke izobe esezibheke okhethweni. Abaningi ke impela basho njalo ukuthi nani i-EFF naye manje ukungani isondeza lapha eNdlungulo ingoba vele ke sekubheke okhethweni kodwa ke uma wabuza bona ngeke bakusho lokho kodwa ke siyabona ukuthi cha kuyenzeka impela ukuthi amaqembu amaningi azama ukuyisondeza eNdlungulo ukuze bathole amavoti athe xaxa ngoba kubonakala ukuthi basebenzisana nobuholi bomdabu.
Manje ke Vusi-ke njengamanje bakuphi-ke omalema ngabe sebehambile sebesiflathele isifundazwe noma mhlawumbe ikhona iy'nhlelo abasenazo abasazoqhubeka nazo esifundazweni?
Ngokwazi kwethu uhambo lwabo beligcina namhlanje nakuba kusekhona ke inhlelo zabo zangaphakathi ezidingidwa ibona ubuholi ngaphambi ukuthi bahambe ngoba bafike la esifundazweni bathe basazozinza kodwa impela sikusho lokho bathe basazozinza lapha esifundazweni uqinisekisa ukuthi basebenza kakhulukazi emphakathini lesiphila kukhona ubuholi nje abanye babaholi okuthiwa ngeke besabuyela eGoli bazohlala nje lapha isikhathi eside besebenzisana nobuholi bakhona lapha isifundazweni obuholwa umongezi Thwalo kuyena ke usihlalo wa-EFF lapha isifundazweni kwaZulu Natal. Asikusho ukuthi abanye babaholi bazobuyela emuva kodwa abanye bathe bazokwenza iKwaZulu Natal kube yabo ngoba bayibona iqhaza elibalekile kwaZulu Natal ngoba bathe bakhombi iKwaZulu Natal kakhulukazi kwi-EFF ikhombisa ukukhula ngokwamavoti ngoba bathe ngo-2014 isikhathi iqembu lisungulwa ukhetho likazwelonke bathola amavoti angu-70,000 kwathi ukhethweni olulandela kazwelonke ngo-2019 bathola amavoti angu-350,000 okusho ukuthi iqembu liyadlondlobala lapha esifundazweni so bathanda ukuthi lamavoti la balokhu bewaphinda ngoba akholelwa ukuthi kwaZulu Natal amavoti abaluleke kakhulu njengoba futhi ke isifundazwe ukukhumbula ukuthi singisesibili ngobukhulu ngokwe-population ngokwama numbers silandela isifundazwe iGauteng.
Sibonga kakhulu ke Vusi ngesikhathi sakho.
Siyabonga kakhulu sisi.
Lewo ke mbukela besixoxisana naye uVusi Khumalo intatheli yalapha e-SABC ezinze lapha ya eThekwini besinkankanya nje-ke naye udaba lo-EFF njengoba sazi ukuthi kizolo ibilapha ya ondeni lapho ibiyokotha khona isilo uMisuzulu kaZwelithini. Njengamanje ke mbukela sinje ke qu 8 siyabuya emva komsuzwane.
Uli ngumdlalo weqonga onomtsalane kakhulu kwabo bathanda imidlalo yeqonga. Lo mdlalo ke uqulunqwe ngumxolisi The Great Masilela. Kulindeleke ukuba ungapheli nje ekuboniseni isakhono sakhe njengombhali wemidlalo yeqonga, kodwa nonobuchule bakhe bokuyila amabali atsala umdla kubabukeli. Lo msebenzi ke weqonga uthembisa amava angenakulibaleka kuba bonke abaza kube bewubukele. Kusixelela banzi ke ngawo lo mdlalo sinaye umxolisi The Great Masilela apha e-studio. Umxolisi The Great Masilela, masikubulise sikwamkele enkqubeni yethu Ekhaya Jikelele. Thank you so much for ba ube nathi namhlanje.
Ngiyabonga, thank you for having me.
Wow, ndingatsho ndithi ngalama ngesi xa ndijonge la clip.
Yeah.
Captivating lelona gama engathi ndilisebenzise. Ngaphambi kokuba sihlabele mgama sifumanise ngakumbi, ndiyathanda ukufumanisa into yokubana lo mdlalo weqonga umalunga nantoni.
Lena, it's a story about identification and finding a name. So it's a quest of finding our names and what our names mean so that we could trace back and learn how to pray correctly and understanding who we are as black people, because I believe that every name is a prayer in every lineage. So for an example, if I could say these names until the beginning, I could get to a point where I could pray to my God in a correct way. So the play is a quest of finding all these meanings and all these names and what do they mean to us.
That is quite profound. I mean, talk about finding your name. That is finding your purpose. That is finding your destiny. That is finding your identity as a black child. It's quite profound. And do you want to understand your role as a director, artistic director to be specific? I mean, what would you say are some of the challenges to bring this play into life?
Challenges is also finding the authenticity of the world. As you can see, Lena is based on also how do we find a transition between the living and the ancestral world. So the challenges are how then do we get into that space without tampering with other people's beliefs, because not everyone believes in ancestors, not everyone utembele. Some they believe in God. So challenges is how to navigate the space for the actors to also tap into the spiritual world.
So even the actors themselves, it's not just banasiyadlala, but they need to tap in.
Yeah, we need
so
to tap
that
in.
I mean, even nomntu oyibukeleyo can highly resonate and bring to life. And speaking of that, because I see that, I mean, kulomboniso uye wabakanti uquka, I mean, real life, because nithe xa ndijonga ndiyabona into yobana kuqhuma nempepho. I mean, from choreography, kusetyenziswe nedishi ezisetyenziswa ezilalini, ndabona nenqawe idluliswa. You know, I want to understand when you talk about ancestry and bringing it to life. I mean, talk to us about the creative process. How did you come up with all these elements? It's convincing.
Yeah, firstly, when we make theater, our ancestors, they don't know that we are playing, right? When we are summoned ancestors, the ancestors, they come regardless. So the process of using this thing is also finding a way of respecting the world and also respecting everyone in the room. So with Impepo is also to summon the ancestors of the work and also summoning ancestors of all the actors in the production. And Izich and Impepo is what we use in Ekhaya for any ritual cleansing. If it's biyamangcwabeni, we wash our hands after birth. So those things are used into executing and making sure that the story becomes as truthful as possible.
So xa uzoqhunyisa kwenza zonke izinto akho abavukelwa ngumoya tshela ukuthi baya-acta but umntu hey awusa-acti, come to the real world.
They do. And also that's why in the play we break the calabash also to scatter the ancestors, you know, so that if the ancestors are there, because all our ancestors, they don't know that we are playing. But in the moment with the calabash, when we scatter it, we're also trying to break and showing our ancestors that we are playing. It's a play and it's a space of make-believe. Yeah.
Ndiyathanda into yobana ubandakanye nomculo kuba sithe xa siyirhabula la clips afumanisa into yobana there's also a background music. Bekutheni nje kubalulekile kuwe as a director to say, you know what, andifuni mhlambe ibe yiplay kuphela kodwa maniquke nomculo, and la mculo udlala yiphi indima in making sure that the story that you are narrating iya resonate and sound also at the background.
So in every African rituals, there is a song, there is dance, there is movement. So we cannot begin to tell a tale about Africans without music. Yeah. So music is also a moment for us to align with our ancestors, to go into a trance. So also in a play, the music plays a very important role in also creating these rituals and making them so believable. And the music was created by the ensemble of musicians. Well, I can't sing to save my life. I asked them to create music, how I've had the music in my dreams, in my sleep. And then they created music, and it was directed by an amazing woman called Unhlanhla Dube, who directed the whole music process of it. But the music was created by the musician in the production.
Wow. I mean, you speak about having visions and your dreams. You know, I want to understand, Iindaba, prior bringing this to life, I mean, the behind the scenes. I mean, uye wabekanti uzilungiselela njani mentally, emotionally for this kind of play. And I mean, before ibekanti uyabhala unikeza, I mean, abantu abazau bring this writing to life. Talk to us about the behind the scenes.
So the play I was in the US. So when I was in the US, in some residence in the US with Dr. Refilwe Lepere. So white people struggled to say Mxolisi. Then Dr. Refilwe had a master class around how to say my name when we were in the United States of America. And then after that, she commissioned me to write a play for TUT. And then that's when I began to write the play. But in the process of writing the play, I wasn't clear how to deal with the name situation. Then my mom passes on. And in my mom passing on, it was a way of me, how do I connect with my mom? How do I keep the umbilical cord of names in praying to my mom and sending messages to her to send to my ancestors? So those were my preparations. And even when I go to sleep, she simply and ask that, can I see this world and be truthful to it? And images and sounds, they do come in my sleep.
Amazing work. I mean, with everything that you have just said, it proves that, I mean, maybe storytelling, where we would see storytelling of abantu abamnyama being truthful and undiluted. And I mean, maybe singacho sithi mhlawumbe usebenzisa ukubalisa amabali, that is storytelling, to further eradicate, I mean, the colonized minds of black people. Jikelele, ukufumanisa into yobana kule play yakho, how are you hoping to enrich the cultural landscape yalapha eMzantsi Africa, not only up in Mzantsi Africa, but Africa at large, because I mean, spirituality is universal.
Yeah, for me, I'm aware that we are trying to create and finding our spirituality from a lost memory. Our memories of black people have been stolen, so we're trying to find ourselves in this new era and finding out who we were before this. So for me, what I want to contribute in the global conversation is finding who we are, how to do izinto zosiko in a right way, you know, ukuthi kuphaswa njani, kuhlatshwa njani, you know, because I was in a talk with Umandla Mbotwe, and then he's spoken about what if what we're doing as black people is wrong? What if impepha kumele ishiswe, you know? What if imbuzi akumele ihlatshwe? But how then do we learn the right ways of doing our ancestral rituals and blackness? So my contribution is, how do we do this also in our people? In the center of Itembisa, we are doing these works in the township so that we could have this conversation and surely would find pieces of our memories that have been lost.
Pieces of our memories that have been lost. So all in all, we are in an era of relearning and unlearning. I want to understand the characters othe wabekanti uyaziquka kulo mdlalo, and bekunzima kanjani, especially looking at the main characters. Intoni ongathi mhlambe bayazirepresenta kakhulu, and also abathi banomdla bayawufuna ukubona lo mboniso uphi njani, nifumane kanjani?
Well, so to find actors, Mongezi is a business partner. We are running the TX Theatre together. Gifta Ngobeni is the residential director of the TX Theatre. So how I found them was, Gifta is a graduate from TET, and Mongezi is a graduate also. Untate is doing his second year. This is how I found them. So I called them and pitched the story to them, and they bought the idea into it. So that's how I found my actors and musicians. Most of them are my interns. So in the TX Theatre, we have 36 interns that we're training currently. Most of the musicians are our interns. So that's how I found them. So the play is part of a festival called Gathering of Stories, which is produced by TX Theatre and the Writers Lab, which will start tonight at 6 p.m. and is going to end next week, Wednesday. So we have 4 plays and 5 new readings of new plays that we're going to publish next year, January. So those ones to come to watch the play is this Saturday at 6 p.m. Tickets are 80 Rand, 220, and on Sunday, the 80 Rand 220, and the show on Sunday is at 2 p.m.
Hayi akunensuku noko ezingaka umuntu akanothi hayi ndiphoswe ngolesihlanu mandize ngomgqibelo.
Yes, no, you can't miss it. I mean, it's a must see. And also to have this conversation about who we are and what our names mean to us and the generation we live in.
Kusekhaya ngenene.
Kusekhaya.
Mxolisi, indeed you are the great. Enkosi kakhulu ngokuba wabelana nathi, mhle kakhulu umsebenzi owenzayo. Uthi mhlambe no, ndiye ndafumana amava wam, ndathini, ndenza konke okwenkwenzileyo. Kuhle kakhulu ukubona ungumntu omtsha uvuselela ingqelikiti yakwantu. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Right, mbukeli we-Ekhaya Jikelele lo besincokola naye kaloku nguye umxolisi the great Masilela esithathela kaloku mbukeli ngomsebenzi awenzayo kuyo kaloku mbukeli icandelo le-theatre. Sixelela ke ngomboniso abazaba nawo kungentsuku zatywala. Utshilo ke wathi ke uyaqala namhlanje ngaqhuma kubasiwe. Masithi qhwi phaa evenkileni sibhatala amatyala ungakunqi bukele inkqubo yakho oyithandayo i-Ekhaya Jikelele.